Welcome back, everybody, to the Nerdcore Podcast, the podcast that reviews the movies and talks that nerd shit. As always, it is your host, the Nerd Chicana, here to host the show alongside my wonderful co-host Brad and Yoda.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a wonderful subpar Monday.
If you say so, bro.
It was all right. It was a
Yeah,
Monday.
yeah. It's a Monday. It's a
It's
Monday
the case of the
indeed.
moon days.
We're here to continue on with our Christopher Nolan month, and today we're going to be concluding the Dark Knight Trilogy months later. Actually, years later, as we discuss the final chapter in the trilogy, The Dark Knight Rises. But before we can get into any of that, Brad, how are you doing?
Doing all right. Doing all right. I was super tired this morning. Needed like 4 cups of coffee.
My God,
Yeah. Got
are
to
you
jumpstart the
okay?
heart. Yeah, I'm good. I was just fucking tired.
Man, I was like, damn, bro, your fucking heart's gonna be like sound like fucking
Nah.
Pearl Harbor over there, bro.
Nah. I used to drink 3 energy drinks a day. So 4
My
cups of coffee ain't
God.
nothing.
Live and early for our patrons over at patreon.com/the nerdcore at the $1 tier. And because of that, we're able to talk to Stacy right here. Subpar Monday. Wasn't that a Jack White cover band?
Could have been.
Could have been. Could have been.
Could
Could have
have
been.
been.
Could have been.
Could have been.
Yeah. Well, I've been having quite the days. I don't know.
Yeah, how you
My
been? What you doing?
my wisdom
How you
teeth are
doing?
starting to fuck around with me again, bro.
Oh, again?
My wisdom tooth,
Shit.
yeah. So, I don't know. I think this time it's gonna have to happen, Brad. I think I gotta
Hey,
go back home and go
get it.
across the border and get this shit done.
No
Because
bueno.
yeah,
Happens to most of us.
especially when I don't got money for the bus ride, and the bus ride's like 13 hours. Yeah,
Eef.
yeah.
Oof.
I fucking hate that shit, bro. I really fucking hate that shit. Like, it's 6 hours to get from here to back home, but because you gotta make like 10 fucking stops, it amounts to fucking 13 hours.
10 hours. Yeah, that's kind of like driving an electric vehicle.
Yeah,
That's 2 hours to your trip because you have to stop to charge the damn thing. But
yeah,
it is what it is.
yeah. But that's. I went to work today. I rewatched Solaris yesterday for my review, so
How many
I
times
went
have you watched that movie?
twice now.
Just twice?
First time I'm ever watching the Criterion though.
Mm.
Yeah, which
I thought you
looks
would have watched that
marvelous.
one more.
No, no, no. I rewatched Stalker the most from Tarkovsky, but like Solaris, I think I've only seen. Well, yeah, I've only seen all his other stuff like once.
Hmm.
Yeah, except for Stalker. Stalker, I think I'm on my fourth or fifth now, but I've seen that movie a lot. Yeah,
Stalker's just
yeah.
terrific.
Solaris is great still, man.
Yeah.
I'm still mesmerized by some of those shots and yeah, how patient and how like contemplative that movie is.
Solaris is actually what it probably be like to live in a in a space station, not a PlayStation, Jesus Christ, space
Yeah,
station.
yeah. Because as much as I love 2001, let's be
Too
honest,
clean.
2001 is what it would be like for the rich to live in this place in this space station.
See, it's fucking too easy to do.
Blah blah place
Blah
place.
blah
Yeah,
PlayStation,
yeah,
rascally
yeah,
wabbit. But
yeah.
yeah, no, but yeah, that's why I like Solaris is because it's that's probably what the actual version of
Yeah.
living in a space station would look
Yeah.
like.
And it's a more grounded emotional film compared to like all the other ones that are like,
Yeah,
yeah. But that's a discussion for another day, I guess. But yeah, we're gonna be talking about this movie. We talked about Batman Begins in 2020. We talked about The Dark Knight in 2020, but we never got to watch The Dark Knight Rises because I won the coin
yeah,
toss
he
that
won the coin.
month.
I was going for the trifecta, and he ruined it.
I ruined it. Well, not really. Now we actually have like all three of them on the public page instead of one of them
Ruined it.
being locked behind the Patreon.
Well, I guess sure.
Yeah,
Except the other two are like 3 years ago, so
yeah.
now they have to go back into into our new. What number is this? This is number 596. Yeah,
596.
yeah,
Yeah.
596. Good luck finding the other two.
Yeah, but I do want to show off y'all because I have this movie on physical from a long time ago that I bought this when I first started collecting Blu-ray,
Ooh,
and it's like a really cool media book. So I was like, I wanted to
ooh.
show that like it's like a
Christian
little
Bale, Tom Hardy,
lenticular.
Christian Bale,
It's like a
Tom Hardy,
lenticular,
Christian
yeah,
Bale,
and the
Tom
back is
Hardy.
pretty cool too. Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah, and it comes with like a prologue comic book in here that's like inside of the actual thing, and it's like
Unless it's the comic book actually showing Bane like with his knee.
Yeah, like little like extra designs and stuff is pretty cool. Yeah, and then like yeah, it comes. The movie itself comes in a separate disc from the special features. Man, that's wild. Usually, Blu-ray has enough to put the whole special features in there, but
I expect you to die.
shit ton of stuff, bro. Yeah,
Yes.
yes, yes. But
When
wait,
we get into this, I am going to comment though on Bane.
I think we both will comment on Bane because
We're both
like
going to comment on Bane
yeah,
because Bane
but
is a major portion of this movie. If you didn't realize,
but it's really cool. It's
he's
really cool
literally on
now.
the cover there.
Yeah, I don't know if this is even available anymore, but this is really cool, and I only got this for like
Probably not.
$10 too. I got
Probably
this for ten
not.
bucks. Right. I just want to show that off. But 596, nice. All right. With that said, let's get ready to talk about this movie, Brad. If you have not watched Dark Knight Rises, The Dark Knight, or Batman Begins, this is your chance to get out of here if you care about spoilers. But if you don't care about spoilers, or you've already seen the film or the other films or before this one, you should go ahead and stay. Either way, how any of that goes, this is your one and only spoiler warning, and it is in effect in a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, Brad. Um, this is yours, right?
It is.
Yes, sir. Then go ahead and introduce us to The Dark Knight Rises.
Of course, coming from our one and only source, Wikipedia, The Dark Knight Rises is a 2012 superhero film directed by Christopher Nolan, who co wrote the screenplay with his brother, Jonathan Nolan, the lesser well known of the Nolans, and the story with David
Still a
S.
very
Goyer.
talented writer.
Hmm?
Still a very talented writer, though.
Apparently. How many movies has he written with his brother?
A lot, bro.
Roten. Uh,
Roten.
yeah, you can tell I'm a bit tired. Based on the DC Comics character Batman, it is the final installment in Nolan's The Dark Knight Trilogy and the sequel to The Dark Knight. The film stars Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne / Batman, if you didn't know. Spoiler, alongside
Bum, bum,
Michael Caine,
bum.
Gary Oldman, Anne Hathaway, Tom Hardy, Marion Cotillard.
Cotillard.
That was
Cotillard.
Cotillard, whatever. Joseph
Cotillard.
Lever,
Lever.
Lover, and Morgan Freeman. 8 years after the events of The Dark Knight, the terrorist Bane, if you didn't know he was in this movie, forces Bruce Wayne to resume his role as Batman and save Gotham City from nuclear destruction. This is sounding way too on point today. Nuclear destruction. Christopher Nolan was hesitant about returning to the series for a third film, but agreed after developing a story with his brother and Goyer that he felt would conclude the series on a satisfactory note. Nolan drew inspiration from Bane's comic book debut in the 1993 Nightfall storyline. That's one of the best storylines, probably.
Hell
The
yeah,
19,
bro.
yeah, the breaking of the bat. That's just yes. The 1986 series The Dark Knight Returns. The 1999 storyline No Man's Land. Filming took place from May to November 2011 in locations including Jodhpur, London, Nottingham, Glasgow, Los Angeles, New York City, Newark, and Pittsburgh. Is it Glasgow? Glasgow.
Let's go.
Nolan used
Glasgow. I don't know.
I don't know. Glasgow. I just fucking ruined it. Nolan used IMAX 70mm film cameras for much of the filming, including the first 6 minutes of the film, to optimize the quality of the picture. A vehicle variation of the Batplane and Batcopter termed the Bat. An underground prison set and new Batcave set were created specifically for the film. We actually built all this shit. As with Dark Knight, viral marketing campaigns began early during production. When filming concluded, Warner Brothers refocused its campaign, developing promotional websites, releasing the first 6 minutes of the film, screening theatrical trailers, and sending out information regarding the film's plot. The Dark Knight Rises premiered in New York City on July 16, 2012. The film was released in the United States and the United Kingdom on July 20th, 2012. The film received positive reviews from critics who deemed it a satisfying conclusion to the trilogy. The film grossed over $1 billion worldwide, making it the second film in the Batman film series to earn $1 billion and the highest grossing Batman film to date. In addition to being Nolan's highest grossing film, it became the seventh highest grossing film of all time at the time of its release, as well as the third highest grossing film of 2012. What other two movies were fucking higher than this? It was named one of the top 10 films of 2012 by the American Film Institute. Of course, we will now see cinematography. Wally Pfister. What has he done? He's
Everything
basically
from
everything's Nolan's fucking done. Edited by Lee Smith. Yeah. Music by of course Hans Zimmer. Terrific. And this film budget 250 to 300 million gross, 230 million net. And the box office, well worth it, 1.081 billion with a B.
Alien. Yep.
Billion with a B.
Yeah. All right, Brad. Well, thank you for that information, and of course, I don't know, like Brad, this is gonna be interesting because how old were you in 2012?
You're making me do math. I'm tired.
I know, Brad. I know. I know.
Jesus. Ah, God damn it. 26.
Yeah, because so what? How old I am right now?
Yeah.
Okay, because in 2012 I was a freshman in high school, and while everybody was gushing over the Avengers, I had seen the trailer to The Dark Knight Rises. And that if anybody remembers that first trailer for The Dark Knight Rises, you know how fucking epic that shit was. Like there's that one shot where it's like going down the buildings and it's making like the bat symbol and
And
everything.
then
It's
then you and then if I remember correctly, it had the Rise music where they're chanting in it,
yeah, yeah,
correct?
yes, yes, yes. And
I do remember that.
I was so fucking hyped for this movie, Brad. I was like, oh my god, like this is the
I don't know.
conclusion.
After the Dark Knight, I don't know how you couldn't be hyped for this movie.
You couldn't, yeah.
Yeah,
And I,
because they left with the Dark Knight, they left it off. Ledger and fucking Bale and that whole movie just
yeah.
left it off with like, now I gotta watch the fucking third one.
And I know that like knowing now what we know, how Ledger was supposed to be in this movie and all these things that
It would have
were
been way
supposed
different.
was going to be a way different movie. But I remember when I watched it as a teenager, I was like, I fucking loved this movie. Like I was like, my god, like this is such an interesting movie. Like I was like, oh my god, I loved it. And like then I rewatched it more as I grew up, right? And I was like, this is really good, but like I don't feel like it's like the satisfying conclusion to Nolan's trilogy that I thought it was. And now I was able to sit with it, and I was able to sit down and rewatch this movie, right? And I gotta say, I am unapologetically a lover of this movie. I love this movie. Does it satisfy everything that needs to conclude this legendary trilogy from Christopher Nolan? Nope.
You would need a fucking 4 hour, 5 hour
Yeah,
movie to do that.
yeah. In an ideal world where Heath Ledger doesn't die, all these things, like
It
yes,
would have
I
been a
think
way different.
we would have had the actual conclusion to this trilogy that was happening. But I think with everything against Nolan, his odds and everything that happened during all these things, bro, like I think that it created the movie that Nolan could make and that he wanted to make, and he still found a way to like introduce some stuff here that to be honest, like really did change the game forever for comic book movies.
Yeah, made it far more darker, realistic. I mean, you see it now with the newest Batman. It really kind of goes in that same vein. It goes even darker, probably, but it's in that same vein of where Nolan
Yeah,
left off.
yeah. But what are your initial thoughts, Brad?
So, from what I haven't seen this movie in forever. Um,
Yeah.
from
It
what I
had been a
remember,
decade since I watched shit, bro.
yeah, it's been a long time. But from what I remember from conversations we had, I think I've told you this wasn't my favorite. This might have been close to my least favorite out of the three.
It is
From
for me, yeah.
from our discussions before. I rewatched this, and I got to say I like it more than I thought I did. Um, I do have a few. I'll just get the complaints out of the way. I do have a few complaints. I think it's too long.
Yeah.
I think it gets slow there in turn point. I think you could cut probably 20, 30 minutes of this and it'd be probably a near perfect movie. Um I can't stand Tom Hardy's fucking voice. Like if you read the comics, Bane is from South America, Latin America, if I remember correctly. What the fuck voice is that?
I'll
And
never, ever, ever
it
forgive what they did to Bane in this.
is is there some place in South America that sounds like a old, English dude? Just I'm just wondering. Like Tom Hardy looks fucking epic in this because he bulked up. Um, but at the same time, all I can think of when I hear that voice now is Cat Bane.
To be fair, it
Come
also
to
is the
dime.
last. It's also the last time that he would ever bulk up that much.
Yeah, I mean you can't really keep up
Yeah,
to that. That was crazy. But he looked great as Bane. Like the whole visual aspect of it was cool, but the voice always kind of ruined it for me because just knowing the comic. If you didn't know about the comic, you probably wouldn't care. But I'm like, he's supposed to be from Latin America. Like
yeah.
that's the whole. But other than that, I'm this thing is a beautiful movie. It is gorgeous. I kind of like what they did with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. They leave it off of like we know he's Robin, like otherwise why be focused on this? But he's Blake,
Yeah.
and in the end he
And
becomes basically Nightwing. He's not gonna be Robin. He's gonna be Nightwing.
and kind of like I kind of think about it now, Brad, and knowing where like DC goes after this.
You're kind of
Nolan
sad. You
really
want to go back to this. That's all I
Nolan
kept
really
thinking too.
Nolan really left them the keys to the kingdom, didn't he?
And they fucked it up
They like
royally.
he left them the possibility of a Justice League, the possibility of a Nightwing, all of these things. Keep like there's a mention of Killer Croc in this that
Yeah,
goes way over my head when I was a teenager. But being the fan that I am now and being like the big Batman nut that I am, he mentions the presence of a Killer Croc in this movie,
yeah.
and it's like it's just dumbfounding. It's like it's baffling to know just how the ball was dropped.
I
And like, but Brad, I think the movie looks spectacular. It's
it's it,
incredibly shot.
it's beautiful. I love
The
what's
music
her
is
I
amazing.
love what's her face's Catwoman as well.
Anne
Even
Hathaway
though
is
she's barely
perfect.
on the screen.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of my complaints too. Is like, I wish we could have had more of Anne Hathaway's Catwoman.
Yeah.
Um, I do think that the film is a little long. I think that it has some major pacing issues in the middle of the film. I'm not a big fan of like the way that we, right, the way that they wrote Bane, and like it feels sometimes as he's like underdeveloped, even
I do
though,
say the fight scenes in this, they're cool. The fight scenes are
yeah,
good. Like they get Bane in that. And I love how they have Bruce like they take him to the prison and he has to get out. That part's cool. But they kind of lose me when I'm watching this truck just go around the city for like 30 minutes. It's like I fucking get it. Like they gotta get to the truck at some point. Whatever. Um and another thing I liked, and I didn't realize how much I liked it. I actually like Christian Bale in this movie, and I'll say it. You've heard me say it before. I did not like Christian Bale in these movies. I didn't think he really, um, shouldered these movies like the villains did. But maybe that's more towards Ra's al Ghul and Heath Ledger, and maybe Heath Ledger's Joker. But maybe in this one,
I
he
think
does shoulder it quite a bit.
I think this is his perfect mix of like Batman and Bruce.
Yeah.
I honestly think so because
And it's a broken Bruce just
yeah,
from the beginning. It's a broken Bruce, and then it's a broken Batman.
yeah. And I also love the way that Nolan like incorporates all these different books, all these different comic books into the writing. Like, yes, Bruce taking time off after the Joker is obviously like very influenced by the Dark Knight Returns, and how Bruce was like out of commission for a while during the Dark Knight Returns,
Yeah.
and then he brought him back. And of course, the Nightfall stuff is just fantastic. One of my favorite
Oh,
stories of
the
Batman,
breaking of his back,
which
just
I never thought
having that in there.
Raul at in freshman year of high school, Raul, who was like loved Nightfall. He never ever thought in his life he'd ever see the breaking of Bruce's back.
Yeah. Which was very prominent in this film because it literally leads to basically the last
Yeah.
third of this film. Also,
What?
also the Talia al Ghul kind of switch. Like I remember back in the day when they had that twist, it was a big thing. It was like, holy
Yeah.
shit. Okay, the child was Talia, and then Bane was her protector. Oh shit.
Yeah. And now looking back at it now, Brad, and watching it now, I wasn't a fan of that twist.
No,
I think it was very rushed the way it happens. Like,
I just like the idea of the child being Talia.
yeah, I love that idea too.
Yeah,
It just
but it
kind of
was
felt
rushed at the end on how
shoehorned.
she just
Yeah,
just
yeah,
stabs Batman in the ribs. And I when she stabs him in the ribs, it's kind of like when he got bit by the dogs. It's like, what the fuck is the suit for?
yeah. Don't worry, we won't hear that type of voice in other DC properties. Just don't watch Harley Quinn. Oh my god.
Whew.
Yeah, but God, I mean, it's just. I mean, I liked it. I love this movie, man. I really do. I don't.
It's it's very good.
I understand
Like,
why people would say it's not the best in the trilogy because it's obviously not.
well, let's be real here. First Batman,
I think it's highly underrated.
I think
Batman
yeah,
Begins.
it's highly underrated. I mean, it's very good. But you're not gonna beat the Dark Knight.
No.
Like it's probably the best Batman ever made, and a lot of that has to do with Heath Ledger just coming and knocking the Joker out of the park,
Yeah.
which always leads me to say I don't need to see another Joker. But if you want to make Joaquin Phoenix's Joker a few times, okay.
I also love the way that Nolan brings it back full circle to Raj Al Ghul. Yeah, I
Yeah, that
really
was
like
good.
that.
That's good. Like I said, I really like the Talia is the child and Bane was the protector. Like I like
Yeah,
that part. But again, I'm
the
kind of in agreement
execution.
with
Yeah,
you at the end where it just comes out really quickly and she stabs him and then they get the fuck out. Okay.
yeah,
Nolan knew this film was long and he kind of rushed it there.
yeah. But I'm like just watching this. I just remembered everything from like 2012, man, and just like knowing, like, I don't know. I don't think that there was like us, because MCU is one thing, but to us to really look forward to this trilogy to conclude, I don't think it's been that way for a long time now. I don't
No,
think we've ever waited for the conclusion to a trilogy like this. And
not from a DC film. I mean, let's I give
it,
Nolan props. He made a really great comic book trilogy, and you
he
can't
really
say that
did,
often for comic book movies that
and a
you can
really,
actually get three really well done trilogies
yeah,
or
and a really
trilogies.
good one that like is really, it's a product of the time that it came out too, and it's like a really interesting look at what these heroes would look like in a time, in like our present time, in that, like,
Oh,
you can
it was
definitely look.
2012.
Yeah,
It's still in the midst of maybe coming out, but still in the midst of the recession.
recession, Occupy Wall Street, like,
Yeah.
it was.
I mean, just the scene of them pulling the rich people out of the hotel and throwing them on
Mhm,
the street. But let's face
yeah,
it, a lot of people wanted to do that.
yeah. And I think that all of that really influenced the way that that
This film comes about,
yeah,
which now in our state and time, you wonder what Matt Reeves is going to do.
yeah,
I mean, just seeing from the first film Matt Reeves put out, I mean, it is kind of the sign. It's very dark. It's very grim. It's got a serial killer for a Riddler.
yeah,
Oh, sorry, spoiler. But if people didn't see the Batman yet, we're literally talking about the Batman, but different Batman.
yeah,
But it's weird going back and watching this and being like, yeah, I didn't find it all that great out of all the three, and then being like, this is fantastic. But it's had so many years. It's had more than 10 years of just really bad DC films where I'm just going, you're right, Ro. Nolan literally left the fucking blueprint. Like, here, build onto it. And DC just totally dropped the ball.
yeah. And like, I understand that Bale probably would never turn at Batman.
No,
Let's be honest.
but I like Batfleck. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, I wasn't sure of him in the beginning. I like Ben Affleck as Batman.
yeah.
I thought it was good. I want to see Ben Affleck
But I
as old Batman
but I think, like,
eventually.
part of me thinks, like, I think that Joseph Gordon-Levitt would have returned as Robin. I think that
No,
Anne
no,
Hathaway would have
no.
been willing.
I believe he. The thing is, he. I don't know. Your Robin would be Wade. Your Robin would basically be Nightwing. That is what this
Yeah,
version of Robin. You wouldn't have the red and the yellow. You'd have Nightwing. That's
yeah.
in my opinion.
But I'm thinking either way, like, from all of that cast, everything like that. I think that Killian Murphy would have came back as a Scarecrow.
Yeah.
100% would have came back as
Oh,
Scarecrow.
he was that was I knew it was coming. Like I said, I've seen this movie a decade ago, but I was waiting for it. I was waiting for Cillian Murphy to be there judging, and then when they finally like zoomed in on him, I'm like, yes,
Yeah. The movie
death
was yeah,
by exile.
by exile. The movie was as good as it could be considering the circumstances, Ledger's death, Nolan's trepidation.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's yeah,
agreed.
yeah. And like I said, I think to me it's a satisfying conclusion. Is it the conclusion that I think we could have had given like all the circumstances? No.
I mean,
But
but how are we to know what would have been made had Heath Ledger lived?
yeah.
I don't know.
But I still think like you look at this movie, like I like look, I'll say I get why people don't like this movie. I get it, bro. I really do.
Yeah.
Like I can see 100% where everybody comes from. I
But
just
at the same but now that we have 10 years under our belt, you gotta go back and go look at it and go look at this as a trilogy itself and be like, this this was actually a very fantastic 3 movies that
yeah,
showed Batman in a great way and probably in one of the best ways that'll ever get shown, other than whatever Matt Reeves is coming up with.
yeah. But you got any final thoughts before we go into the final verdict here, Brad?
I mean, I still think it's probably my third favorite out of the 3,
Yeah,
but god damn, it's good. Like
it really is, bro.
it's really good. Like it's not going to get a bad score. It's going to have a high score, but it like I said, the first one has its merits on why I would say it's better than this. I think overall the story and Ross Al Ghul and just Batman coming into his own kind of beat out this storyline, but nothing tops the Dark Knight. That movie is just goddamn perfect.
Yeah, it's just like just think about it as well. Like, and then we think about this trilogy, right? We think about this trilogy as a whole. Like, just think about the projects that he worked in between all of these, bro. Like,
The
it's it's
Prestige,
it's
the
crazy,
Prestige was
bro.
in there, right?
Prestige, Dark Knight, Inception, The
Inception,
Dark Knight
which
Rises.
was a huge draw. That was a huge movie. Everybody went to see Inception.
Yeah. So it's like there is a reason why everybody was big on this man
Yeah.
because he puts out hit, hit,
I mean,
hit, hit,
I'll be
hit.
granted, any movie he puts out looks fantastic. I'm not a fan
Yeah.
of Tenet, but I'm just not a fan of Tenet because I think Nolan's just smelling his own farts in that film. But the movie looks great.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong.
And then even after Dark Knight Rises, like he puts out Interstellar next. And
Oh
it's just like,
God, how do
yeah,
you? And Interstellar is probably the best thing he's put out
yeah. So I mean, this is just
until
if you look
whatever
at
I
it,
see with
just
Oppenheimer here, and I don't know how I'm going to score that because the dude literally made a bomb.
yeah. But what I'm trying to get here is just like this movie changed not just the trajectory of like comic book movies, but it changed the trajectory of his career.
And probably filmmaking overall. Because
Hmm.
after this, you see a lot of filmmakers. They do make darker, grittier, but very,
Yeah,
very good-looking films. I think even Tarantino steps his game up in his
yeah,
films a little after Nolan's films
yeah,
because Tarantino gets the big IMAX camera right after this
yeah.
for his
For Hateful Eight,
yeah
yeah,
for Hateful Eight. He gets the big landscapes where he
yeah,
comes in and stuff.
yeah. And then Nolan, yeah, what's it called? His obsession with IMAX really just a whole nother level to this movie too.
Yeah.
But Brad, what is your final verdict on The Dark Knight Rises?
I'm gonna give it a 8.5 out. Like it's fucking good. It's fucking good. I'll probably watch again. And it'd probably be worth a 9, but I think 8.5 just because I would say the first one's a 9, and then the Dark Knight's a 10 for me.
All right, man. I'm gonna go ahead and give it an 8.5 as well, man. It's really good. I to me, I think that that Batman Begins is like a 9. I think what's it called? Dark Knight is obviously a 10, and then this was just 8.5, man. I really like this movie.
It's really good.
Stacey says, "I wonder what would break first, your review score or your body."
I just wish that he would have edited it down by maybe
Yeah.
10 to 20 minutes.
Also, that line with Bane, like, what did he say? Like, when you feel like it, then you have my permission to die.
Yeah, that's always good. But There was one in line in there I didn't like. It's when Batman shows up to fight Bane in the streets there at the end, and Bane has this super iconic fucking line of like, I thought I left you for dead" or something of that sort, and then Batman just like, "I just want to punch you" or some shit. It was a stupid line from Batman. Bane's line was like, "That's terrific," and it's just kind of
Yeah.
like they like, I don't know what to have Batman say, so it's just like, "I want to punch you." Or something to that effect.
But also, like now going back to like looking at the animated series, like the bat, like all the like Batman has those type of lines
No, he
though.
does. He's camp. If you
Yeah,
go back to original Batman, Batman's campy.
yeah. But yeah, man. Love this movie. I'm glad that we finally concluded it, and I'm finally, I'm glad that, like I said, I don't think any, like I think that Matt Reeves is probably on the cusp of doing something just as great. Do I think that it's something that is as able to resonate with the times that it's coming out with, that is able to
Maybe.
like, you know, I don't know,
These are rough
because
times right now, and
yeah,
if based on the first one, man, Matt Reeves goes dark. Like, did you again? Spoiler again for because I'm bringing up the Riddler again. Did you ever expect? Like, we
no,
get it, they're killers and all that, but did you ever expect really to get a serial killer Riddler?
no. Also, like, let's be honest, like incel type of what's it called, a
Yeah,
serial killer, Riddler.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, and just these past few years, that's got to give Matt Reeves idea because most of the Batmans, if you kind of watch them, they are kind of based on what we're living through right now.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that concludes our review of The Dark Knight Rises, and thank you all so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate it. Of course, you can keep up to date with us on nerdcore.com, Twitter at the nerdcore underscore, Instagram at the nerdcore, patreon.com/slash the nerdcore. For $1 a month, you get this episode live and early before anybody else gets it the day after. And of course, you can get that all at the patreon.com/slash the nerdcore. Check out our Discord link in the description below, so that way you can get to talking to us about the Dark Knight films and Christopher Nolan. You could also leave a comment on the video; it would be really much would be appreciated. And yeah, I love that comment, Stacey. Love that comment. But yeah, just talk to us, y'all. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell so you can get a notification every time you get content on this channel. If you're on the page on the audio side of things, make sure you leave a 5-star review on the app that lets you do that. So far, I know that it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify that let you do that. So please do that for us. Please, 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 please.
Also, leave comments, please. I love reading them.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to the friends over at the review crew, man. Shout out, they've been leaving comments, and we like to interact with you guys. Like
Yeah.
seriously, some of y'all be leaving some really dumbass shit that we have to like hide because it's like being stupid to us. But those of
Yeah,
y'all who
yeah.
actually comment to
Oh,
have a
no,
discussion,
yeah, we don't like being called numbnuts. I'm just saying.
yeah. But those of
Even
you
if
who have
it's
comment to want to have like an actual discussion with us instead of like calling us uneducated and stuff, like we appreciate that. We want to talk with you guys. But yeah, of course, we want to thank our Patreon supporters because without them, it's not possible. Of course, let's go ahead and shout out to our wonderful producer, Shane. Where can you find him, Brad?
you follow our friend Shane at twitch.tv/XSRK or on Twitter at ThriftedIL or go buy something from the Suppy God at PrisonCityVintage.com.
Damn straight, Brad. And of course, we will see you all on Wednesday for our review of Secret Invasion Episode 3. And then we will be back on Thursday live on the Patreon and early for y'all for the public review for Saturday as we talk about Greta Gerwig's Little Women. But without further ado, it's been a pretty damn good time, guys. And of course, just keep up to date with us and all that stuff. And again, I just want to show it because it's so fucking cool. Like
Oh,
one of my favorites, bro.
I forgot to. We forgot to say anything about Michael Caine. Michael Caine's a gem.
Michael Caine is legit, bro. As
Jim,
I'll try to keep it as like low as like non spoiler as
spoiler
possible,
free.
but when I was in 2012 and the direction they took with Alfred, you know, in the direction in the film,
Mm-hmm.
I was like not a fan of it. But looking at it now, it leaves a bigger impact in Bruce's journey in this movie. So
Can
it's like, yeah,
can I just like? So you were what 17, 18 when this came out? No,
Brad,
you're a freshman.
15,
You're a
dog.
freshman, right? So
Yeah,
you're 14, 13,
14,
14.
15, yeah.
Yeah. And I was 26 at the time. But as I got older, I understood, like, in my 30s, going into 40s, I understand Alfred more. Like, I understand where Alfred was coming from in this film. It's really weird. And that's weird how films change when you get older.
Yeah. It's true, man. It's true.
Other than Ikiru. Ikiru has stayed the same for me.
I wonder how we will react to the Green Lantern now, Brad.
Let's not. How about no?
Yeah. With that said, it's been a wonderful time. We hope that everybody had a great time with us, and we will see you all next time. Brad, let's go ahead and get him out of here.
All right, Raul, thank you, being host as always. Thank you to Stacey for joining us in chat. Thank you to all our listeners out there, all our patron swords. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you, Raul. This was a good review. And to end this episode, all I have to say is don't break your back. Young Yoda out. Go watch Cat Bane videos on YouTube. Cat Bane.